Hello folks, and welcome once again to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. Join myself and my son little Toby here on another walk along the Leeds and Liverpool Canal here at Wigan in my hometown. And what we're going to do today, we're going to make our way along the canal through to Trencherfield Mill, which you can just see there in the background just above my shoulder. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you about the time that I almost met the late great Fred Dibnah. But before we do, I'm going to whip round the camera and I'm going to show you this particular area here around Wigan Pier, because it's been photographed and painted many times. Here in Wigan, it's an iconic canal scene. So I'll whip the camera around now, we'll take a look at that scene in Wigan Pier, and then we'll push on to Trencherfield Mill, and I'll tell you about the time I almost Hot Potters, met the late great Fred Dibnah. Okay folks, well there we have it. There's that iconic canal scene here in Wigan. This particular scene that you can see in front of you has been painted many times and photographed many times, and there's lots of buildings around Wigan, pubs and such, that have this scene hung up on the wall. To the left you've got the wharfs where at one time goods would have been brought via canal barge in this very canal and unloaded. Then you've got the road bridge just at the end there, that's on Pottery Road. Behind it you've got Trencherfield Mill, and in the foreground here we've got what is allegedly Wigan Pier. Now, I don't know whether or not that is the actual structure that all the music hall jokes refer to, but according to Wigan Council and the official history, that structure is Wigan Pier. Right then, we're going to make our way along the canal bank now, under the road bridge, and it should bring us out near Trencherfield Mill, and we'll continue with our little story and our walk. Okay folks, so we've now made it to the Pottery Road entrance of Trencherfield Mill. And it was way back in 1992 that I almost met Fred Dibnah. And the reason I was down here back in 1992 was because of a pair of gates, one of which is behind me here. So I'm going to whip the camera around now and we'll take a closer look at them. Well folks, as I say, the year was 1992. And back then Mr H was a bricklayer's apprentice, learning the old skills of flashing the silver blade. And the company I worked for at the time, which to be honest it was only like a one man and a van outfit, but he used to get some pretty interesting jobs, and one of which was to remove the gate post and gates that you can see in front of you. There's one of them, there's the other, from another local cotton mill that was closing down, located in Irons on Anderton Street, name of Empress Mill, and bring them here to Trencherfield Mill, because back in 1992 this whole area was an heritage site. It still is in a minor capacity today, but back then it was like a mecca for people who was into heritage. Now, an interesting little story for myself is that those gates there, when they was at Empress Mill, my mother used to work there before she married my dad, and she would have passed through those many times. So it's sort of fitting that her son ended up re-erecting them here at Trencherfield Mill. But they wasn't in that location back in 1992, Hot Potters. They was way down there, which is where we're going to make our way to now. So we're going to go to the original location of these gates, and we'll continue from there. Well, roughly here where I'm stood now is where those gates was originally located back in 1992. Now, as I said, I used to work for a company and I had the task of placing those gates here. Now, this whole area has since changed since 1992. It's now a mainly residential area, which is why you can see car parking spaces there, just behind me. And that building there, which is now residential, didn't used to be there in 1992. There was a cafe there, a long building, called Pantry at the Pier. Everything was at the pier back then in 92. Mill at the pier, engine at the pier, canal at the pier. So what we had to do was dig two great big holes either side of this road, or the road that used to be here, ready for those posts to be put on. So we was busy digging this hole, me and this fella by the name of Eddie, and the boss wasn't here. He'd toddled off for the day, gone somewhere else. So, as is the case, when your boss isn't there, you don't work as hard, do you? So we was having a minute for a second, as you do, when we noticed this figure, rather stocky figure, making his way down the yard from the direction we've just been in. And down he came with a little flat cap on, and all of a sudden, me and Eddie, we suddenly realised who it was. And it was Fred Dibnah, old Dibbers no less. Well, I must admit, Hot Potters, I was a bit starstruck when I saw him, because way back then, There was only 4 channels in the UK, and if somebody had been on the television, it was as though they'd been sprinkled with a little bit of stardust, you know, they was a little bit different from you. So I must admit I was in a bit of awe when I saw him. Nowadays they let any old bugger on the television who's willing to make an arse of themselves, but back then if you'd been on the telly, you needed to have a bit of talent. So as I say, old Fred came down the yard, we recognised him, and as he drew level with us, me and this Eddie, we were that starstruck we didn't say anything. But as he got level with us, he didn't take any interest in the job we was doing. He just simply looked across, nodded to us, and said in that Lancastrian Boltonian drawl, "How do?" and made his way into the cafe for a bacon butty, I suppose, or whatever it was as he'd gone into the cafe for. I've no idea what Fred was doing down here at the time. The only thing I can imagine is, like I said, it was an heritage site back in '92, and he must have come down here to check it out and take a little look around. So that is the story of how I almost Hot Potters met Fred Dibnah. Hope you enjoyed that story. Me and Toby are going to get off now. We're going to make our way around the back here, and we're going to head off and get back home. So, until the next time, from myself and little Toby, it is bye-bye for now.
Do you like that?